do file taxes.
Do file my taxes.
Pay and file my taxes.
Don't file taxes.
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 Taxes. Taxes.
Congress was granted the power to tax citizens under the first article of the U.S. Constitution. However, did you know that when the Constitution was first created in 1787, the framers of the Constitution didn't want income tax to be included? In fact, it wasn't until almost 100 years later in 1861 that the U.S. government considered it once again to cover the cost of the Civil War. In 1872, tax was repealed by Congress once again. However, 22 years later, in 1894, Congress enacted a 2% tax on income over $4,000. In 1895, the tax was struck down, and in 1913, nearly 124 years after the Constitution was created, the amendment was ratified, effectively establishing Congress's right to impose federal income taxes.
Taxes have been a constant in Americans' lives for over 100 years. Despite how people feel towards them, the impacts of governmental taxation are indisputable. According to Virginia Tech accounting and information systems professor Michelle Harding, in order for the United States to create and sustain social programs or for public investments, the government needs to tax its people for funding.
Individual taxpayers provide the majority of tax revenue. The next largest source of tax revenue are employment taxes. Which makes sense because Social Security and Medicare tax are one of the largest expenses.
In today's age, the job of administering tax laws belongs to the Internal Revenue Service, or the IRS, which was determined by Congress under the Internal Revenue Code found in Title 26 of the United States Code. Every year, when working U.S. citizens file their tax return, it is sent to the IRS, which then checks personal information as well as claim tax breaks that may require further review. If your tax return matches the public record, you are refunded within 21 days if submitted electronically or 6 to 8 weeks if submitted by paper. Harding explains the IRS has been understaffed for a while, which limits the amount of audits conducted and increases the likelihood for underreporting of taxes.
Some people argue that if the IRS already has records on how much we owe, then why do we have to file taxes? Or why can't they just send a bill or refund automatically? This term is referred to as a return-free or ready return filing system. It's popular overseas with countries like Denmark, Sweden, Spain, and the United Kingdom. Some experts believe the IRS or the tax industry just couldn't afford to lose the billions of dollars generated by tax preparation each year.
Several presidents, including President Reagan in 1985 and President Obama in 2006, have tried to create a similar, less complicated system than the one currently in place. However, Congress just hasn't agreed on what they believe will be the perfect system. Only time will tell what comes from efforts to change the current system, but until then, continue to stay updated and make sure your taxes are filed by National Tax Day on April 18.